Hello Battlecats players, my name is Chance and welcome to my guide. Today we're going to be discussing and breaking down Oda Nobunaga. This uber rare cat can be unlocked by playing the rare cat capsules during the Sengoku War Gods event. And as always, it is my hope that through discussing really everything there is to know about this unit, you'll be able to make a more informed decision on not only how to best use them, but also how far to invest into them, if at all. Let's first get started by taking a look at the evolutionary line. In this case, starting out with Oda Nobunaga himself, the manifestation of the Grudge of Nobunaga from the lives of many and one cat, area attack stops the movement of black enemies. Then at level 10 will become War God Nobunaga. The cat spirit goes into overdrive. The grudge grows even stronger. Area attack stops the movement of black enemies. And then at level 30, as well as the addition of some Catfruit NXP, you get Immortal Nobunaga. Leads an army of vengeful spirits to fulfill his dream of unifying the heavens and the netherworld. 100% chance to freeze black enemies. Area. And of course, just like all of the other Sengoku War Gods event cats, just pretty cool descriptions all around. Now then, let's take a brief look at this cat's performance. To start out with, the class is considered to be a crowd controller, meaning a unit that inflicts status effects to a particular type, in this case black enemies, and the infliction will be freeze. Under pros, you have short attack rate and decent attack power while in true form. Under cons, you have slow movement speed, slow attack animation, 1 knockback, and mediocre range. And other considerations, you have a 100% chance to freeze black enemies for 6 seconds or 8 seconds in true form. Now then, let's move on and check out some gameplay and discuss some strategy. Now then, I know what you're thinking. When you're looking at the overall performance of Oda Nobunaga, you're like, this unit doesn't seem too good. Well, you're wrong about that. However, there is a problem with him. Or rather, not really a problem with Nobunaga himself, but rather a problem with the current landscape of battle cats. This game, being out for really over a decade at this point, has pre-established metas. Ponos also has a very strong policy not to nerf certain units. Do not be mistaken, Oda Nobunaga is a very good unit for freezing black enemies, and his uptime is over 100%, so essentially he can perma-freeze black enemies so long as the knockbacks tend to work out in his favor. However, as with any floating crowd controller, there is a Sanzo equivalent to Nobunaga, that being Bombercat. Whilst we are going to be making our own dedicated Bombercat video, it is worth noting that the odds of you actually needing to use Nobunaga instead of Bombercat there's just very few use cases where that makes sense. There is one use case brought on by range, that of course being Toucan. However, Toucan being a single target enemy type is not, I don't know, even then I feel like still Bombercat spam would be favorable. And once again, to reiterate, Nobunaga is not a bad crowd controller. The fact that he can perma-freeze, has massive uptime, and has area attack as well really make him an ideal crowd controller in more ways than not. However, his lack of survivability is ultimately what hurts him, as well as his quite long recharge time relative to other crowd controller units. He has really good recharge time relative to other Ubers, however, so it's one of those mixed bags. While true formed, he does get a fairly significant increase to stats, which is nice. However, it doesn't really change the underlying problem of there just being stiff competition in his niche. Now then, let's move on to cat combos. Nobunaga only has one cat combo, that being Honnoji's Curse, being a freeze effect up of the small variety involving Vengeful Cat and Oda Nobunaga. This will increase freeze duration by 10%. This is one of those strange things where, unfortunately, despite it being a freeze up combo, I don't think it's very useful in this case. My reasoning being is by default, Oda Nobunaga already has enough uptime to permanently freeze black enemies, so increasing it any further might just be insult to injury, and depending on how the knockbacks work, it might even hurt him. But let me know what you think down beneath. As far as Catfruits needed to true form this unit, you're going to need 6 green fruits, which can be obtained every Monday, 8 purple fruits, which can be obtained every Tuesday, 4 blue fruits, which can be obtained every Thursday, 3 yellow fruits, which can be obtained every Friday, and 4 epic fruits, which can be obtained really through any of the growing stages with the exception of Strange and Evil, and after you complete an Ancient Curse, you'll gain access to the growing epic stage for a few hours every weekend, and you can farm them there as well. You'll also need the standard Uber 1 million XP to true form this unit. Now then, I'm just going to flash a couple charts on screen pertaining to Nobunaga's stats while reading out some trivia regarding the unit. This cat is a tribute to Oda Nobunaga, a Japanese historical figure from the Warring States period. The temple located at the bottom of Oda Nobunaga represents the Honnoji temple, where he committed suicide. This is also referenced in his only cat combo, namely Honnoji's Curse. The samurai located above Oda Nobunaga's head resembles that of Itachi Mitsuhide, his protege that notoriously tried to murder him. Sometimes it really do be your own, you know? The supernatural aspects of Oda Nobunaga, specifically the war god Nobunaga, suggests he may be a reference to specifically the Onamashiro character. This unit has the longest enemy freeze duration, and even though its true form is the one that says 100% chance to freeze all of its forms can freeze black enemies with a 100% chance. It is kind of weird how Ponos does that with some descriptions. They will make one description different from the others in relation to the effect, despite the fact all of the units have the exact same effect. It's really weird. Now then, let's move on to discussing talents. Mortal Nobunaga has access to Survives, which adds a 28% chance to survive a lethal strike and improves by 8% per level up to 100% for a total NP cost of 235. Resist Wave, which reduces wave damage by 5% per level up to 50% for a total cost of 175 NP, Curse Immunity for a cost of 100 NP, and Defense Buff, which adds a 2% health increase per level up to 20% for a total NP cost of 175, as well as Movement Speed Up, which upgrades movement speed by 1 per level up to 10 for a total cost of 175. As far as noteworthy talents go for this cat, funny enough, Curse Immunity might actually make sense for going up against Loris, but seeing as how it's kind of niche and it's fairly expensive to invest into for such a small use case relative to everything else, I might not recommend it unless you're struggling with that particular enemy. Outside of that, really all of these are aimed at improving his survivability, right? He only gets one knockback before he dies, so he doesn't really get that many chances to reset. Because of that, it's just best to do anything you can to keep him alive for longer. In that sense, Survives is obviously a very good talent, although it is quite expensive. Resist Wave can also make sense depending on what kind of units you're struggling with. Defense Buff in theory is nice, but doesn't really change the one knockback issue. Movement Speed Up, I wouldn't really recommend investing into. I can't see many use cases where it could be relevant. But now that you know what I think about Nobunaga, let's hear what all of you have to say about him. Cross/01 says, a big and scary unit, can be useful when upgraded, is intimidating but actually a stand-up guy. I'll take your word for that. At King Emperor Corruptor says, best anti-black non-frozen immune Uber. That's probably true, although I feel like the pickings for that particular category are fairly thin. The ever-present Bee-Eater says, I actually don't know how one looks mid. I don't understand what you're trying to say. I kind of like the way he looks personally. Luigi Plays 5023 says Uber Bomber. And yeah, I guess if you want to look at him that way, that's fair. Although, like, in theory, you play them very differently, but they do achieve the same result, so yeah, I guess. At Courier Cat says gets outclassed by Bombercat, and yeah, that's fair for the vast majority of stages for sure. Train Invader says Bomber's better in every way, or ever way, but I know he meant to say every way. Yeah, maybe. There's a bit of a shortcoming with Bomber when it comes to range, but we'll talk about that more in the Bomber video itself. At I'm Freaking Stupid says meh. Also, I made a guide on Manic Macho Legs, and if you're watching this video and you want to check it out, then just search up his username and it should come up. If you would like to be featured in this part of the channel, be sure to comment on the relevant channel posts in our community section. And that really is all I have to say about Nobunaga. I think it's a very, very good cat in a vacuum, however struggles with the stiff competition as niche, and the current meta-driven climate of battle cats means that a lot of players who have this unit might not end up using him all that much, and instead opting to go with a heavily upgraded bomber, which, fair enough, there's nothing inherently wrong with playing with the meta, so do whatever feels best to you. In any case, be sure to like and subscribe for Cat God's blessing, and as always, I will talk to you all soon.